Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hey Listen Video Game Podcast. I am Zach, also known as the RPG, and I'm joined today with Cole, Annoying Navi,
What's going on, Zach?
and we've got a special guest here today. He's a new member of the community. I think he joined a few months ago, nearing 100 subscribers, I think, and that's tvandlust.
Hey folks, Craig here. I don't think anyone knows me. This is great. This will help me get my name out there. I appreciate it.
Yep, that's
No problem.
youtube.com/tvandlust and the TV and Lust podcast. But
Yep,
really,
you
though,
can catch that at tvandlust.net.
oh, that too. But really, congratulations on 5 years of TV and Lust.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's been a long time. I didn't even when I first started. I just wanted to ramble. I don't know why.
Mhm.
And then I had no idea there was a video game community or anything like that. It didn't surprise me when I found out there was one or anything. But then I was like, hey, other people are doing this too. And I just kind of kept going because I figured if there's an audience for it, might as well.
Well, we're glad you're a part of it.
Well, thank
I
you.
really like your videos. Yep.
Thank you
Yeah.
But
very
just
much.
so you know, I wanted to always say this to you, but I know you always talk about your podcast in the beginning, how it wasn't very good. But honestly, your beginning episodes are really good, I think. Because I know they're all out, they're like everywhere, but I like that. It's almost comical. So
the podcasts are exactly like the videos. It's just sort of like kind of just jumping into something without having any game plan
Yeah.
whatsoever. And I think they're better now. Like we tried to do like a structure. There's a very strict structure for a long time there, and then after a while that kind of gave way. Once we became a little more comfortable, it's still structured, but not as much. But
Mhm.
I appreciate that you enjoyed those. I mean, obviously some people did because they stuck around. But man, I thought they were rough. I always felt bad after doing an episode. I'm like, ugh.
That's how we feel. So we understand.
I don't think it ever really goes away. Like I work really hard on my content, but then I'm just kind of like, and I watch other people. I'm like, but this guy's better.
No, that is me exactly. But no, yours are great. So
Thank
you
you.
have nothing to feel bad about.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you flattering me. I might come on the
Ooh.
podcast a little more often.
I've been watching also your videos since 2009 now, which
Same
is
Yeah,
here.
that's most of it. That's been most of the run.
yeah, and I think I've seen the majority, if not all, the ones from even 2008 up until like 2010, and then most from there as well.
Damn. Yeah, a lot of those were rough too. Like lately, I've been really refocusing on quality. Like, I mean, even the ones that I feel are weak, I still feel are pretty good. But I've been having some problems with like lighting. Like my camera's very bad with low light situations. I noticed there was a real like long rash of videos that were hard to look at. And for a while there, I wouldn't upload in HD because my old Mac had like 2 gigs of RAM and the processor was like a 2 core like so it took like it would take like 3 hours to like process an HD video. I mean, so now I'm focusing on better lighting. I'm focusing on making sure things are in HD, making sure my content's unique. I'm really putting in the effort to sort of revitalize my channel after being around for 5 years. You sort of rest on your laurels. Like here's another unboxing, here's another collection video, and the thing is, people love those though. That's what most people watch are collection videos and unboxings. And I try to do something unique, and they don't really get the hits. But I'm more proud of it. I'm more proud of the refocus that I've been doing, even if it doesn't quite get the same number of views.
Well, let's say we get into things.
Let's do it.
Well, we had some listener feedback to get into, but I figure we should address the questions first, because we got a lot of questions, even though most of them were all from one person.
And we did not tell him to write questions at all. So that's not a thing.
Oh wait, we got a whole set from another person as well. Oh my, we're booming. Oh well, the first thing that I guess should be addressed, even though it's been kind of beaten to the ground in other ways, is Rockman-12 asks, can you get rid of the prank call segment? Cole?
We'll save it for every once in a while.
Yeah, they left.
Basically, Craig, yeah, we like do prank calls as
Who do you prank
immature
call?
as they are, but we call Target, and
Target. What do
so,
you-
so some people say we do it a little bit too often, so we're gonna try to cut back on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got good feedback on that, which we can get into later, but no. Also, Trevor asks, is it possible to fix the iTunes feed? Cole?
I don't know how to fix iTunes. I'm looking into it, but
what happened?
iTunes is terrible.
What happened if you want? I get problems all the time. It's just like for me, like the way the way I was taught to set up the podcast, there's like 8 million different steps.
Hmm.
And I set it up like years ago. So like when something breaks, I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah, lose your entire feed. No, what happened to me? I use Blogger, and that's where I post my podcast links from archive.org. And what happened was it just stopped updating the feed for some reason. So it went up to episode 21. And then ever since then, it just wouldn't update on iTunes. So I have no idea why. Because
So
I'm doing the exact same.
are you taking the URL from? Are you manually doing all this? Are you taking the URL from Archive
Yeah.
and then pasting it into the embedded link on Blogger?
Yeah, is that not right?
No. That's
Oh,
absolutely right. I mean, that's been
okay.
working. Mine stopped working for a while too. Did it stop working right around the time of the redesign on
Yeah,
Archive?
that's exactly when.
Here's what happened. The link, if you look, because I talked about this on my podcast, because there was a couple episodes in a row that just iTunes would not grab it, and that's because archive.org now creates links with a secure connection, so it's HTTPS. If you copy and paste that full URL, iTunes will not see. iTunes will not recognize the secure URL. You have to just take out the S, so it's just HTTP,
Oh,
and that'll.
Oh my.
That's all it is. It took me a while. That was the only variable. It took me so long, it took me hours, and then I saw this one variable. I'm like, that can't be it. And then I take out the S, and sure enough, it worked.
why couldn't we have you on like February?
Sorry.
I don't know. No.
Zach's been trying to get me for a while. It's just I'm super busy. I mean, I'm glad to be on now. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't avoiding you or anything, but to Zach's credit, he's been trying to get me for some time.
Well,
You were crazy hours, but
we finally got that problem solved potentially.
there we go.
And Zavin 1718, he's got some questions. We can answer some of these questions and some of Pestro's. But the first question was, I think like we mentioned in passing that you were going to be on, Craig, and he wanted to kind of aim this question towards you. But
Okay.
he said, what do you think of the stories in RPGs, and do you feel they're just shoehorned in there, or do you enjoy them? Is there one game story that sticks out to you?
They're obviously not shoehorned. That wouldn't be an appropriate term, because it's clear when games are in development. I mean, they do put a lot of focus on the story. But I mean, I think with pretty much every game story out there, I mean, even RPGs, they're crap. They're not very good. They're all basically some variation of some power fantasy about saving the world. It never varies, and maybe that's just how video games are, because you have to have some, player interaction. You have to have the player motivation, and having some, character study isn't always the most interesting for the player. I mean, I guess I kind of understand that, but they're just the same thing over and over again. They're told really ham-fistedly through crappy cutscenes and really poorly written dialogue with lousy voice acting. And I understand why people like them. It's easy to get attached after several hours to the characters and to the circumstances that you're sort of wrapped up in. But looked at objectively, I mean, you're basically murdering a bunch of monsters or people for like 30 hours and then standing around and talking for another 20. It's not that great. As for stories that I've appreciated, there aren't very many. There are some that I enjoy. Like, there are some that I like, but I will never admit to them being good, because they're not. But one that sticks out to me very recently is a game called Xenoclash. Actually, Xenoclash is one of my favorite games of this past generation. It's fantastic. You can get it for cheap. It goes on sale all the time on Steam. It's on Xbox Live Arcade as well, but obviously there's fewer sales on there. And the sequel actually comes out. The sequel comes out on Steam, I think the end of this month, with the console versions to follow. But Xenoclash was interesting because it was a personal story. It was not about saving the world. And it was really cool because it took place in this great big exotic world that, it wasn't there for you to explore. It was there for you to sort of take in as someone who supposedly lived there. There wasn't like a tour guide explaining every nook and cranny to you. You were a character that lived in this world. You didn't need things explained to you. So with that out of the way, the developers, Ace team, created a personal story. And I don't really want to give it away. It's not a very long game, so if you choose to play it, I don't want to spoil it. But I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed it. It was actually told sort of split. It had split timelines with things happening in the present and things being recalled from the past that led up to the present. It's actually very interesting. It's a really good game, and I would point to that as a story that I really enjoyed because it wasn't the same old, save the universe from gods or I don't know, whatever. Not really an RPG, but I can't think of an RPG story that I really enjoyed.
That's interesting because we were talking with Zavin earlier, and he mentioned like how he couldn't understand at all how you could just skip over the stories in RPGs and things like that. Like when he was listening to your podcast, he said that kind of irked him.
Because RPGs are so long. Like I said, a lot of people who enjoy JRPGs in particular, is so long. It's easy to get wrapped up in that. And then there are a lot of JRPGs where I like the characters. They're one dimensional. They're flat. They're not very interesting, but they're fun, and it's easy to get attached to these characters after adventuring with them for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 hours, whatever it is. Like I get it. But for me, for like a JRPG, I'm more interested in leveling up. I'm more interested in the combat systems, the puzzle solving, the dungeon crawling, the customization, light customization. I don't really like heavy customization. I don't like feeling overwhelmed. But those are the things that I'm more interested in. The story is just there to keep it all together for me. I'm more interested in the mechanics of it because the stories are, I don't know, some plucky kids rise up to kill God or whatever. It's not.
But Craig, I became the Pokemon master.
I know.
What are you saying?
Right. Yeah, for like 6 games in a row, which
Yeah.
whatever, man.
Cole, do you have
Yep.
any opinions on this?
I don't know. I agree with you. I'm not huge into the stories, but I find it really weird because if there is no story at all in like an adventure game, for some reason that just makes me like really dislike the game. I just have no interest in playing it. I feel like the story's more or less just the glue of the game, really.
Yep.
So that's about it.
I can understand that. It's
Yeah,
just so
it just
weird that stories are being injected into like everything. Like you say an adventure game, like that's great. But then you play like a puzzle game and then there's cutscenes and you're like, dude, can I just match these pieces or whatever? Like, can I just play this?
Tetris 2013. Let's like God edition.
What's wrong, Tetri? Oh, I lost my dog.
They're falling everywhere.
As for me, it's more or less the same, but there's some RPGs, like a standout one, kind of is Tales of Vesperia recently, because I beat that not too long ago. And in some ways, it has great characterization, and also the story is kind of intriguing, but I got lost with a lot of the terminology when they get into like all this, like the arts and all these different specific kinds of terms, and I just get lost and stop caring for a while. And then some of the characters just repeat the same traits over and over again, and it's always the same conflict. But for the most part, it was a good story, I think. But yeah, I think we covered that pretty well. And second question he asked was, why haven't you played Katawa Shoujo yet, Zach? And the reason for that, although it looks like a game I would probably enjoy, is because I don't really do any PC gaming, and as far as I know, that's PC only game, I think. Have either of you played this?
No.
What
Craig?
game is it?
Katawa Shoujo?
I don't think I've ever even heard
I
of
don't
it.
even know how to spell that. So
Yeah, it's from what I understand, it's like a visual novel with like about a bunch of like a guy and then a bunch of disabled girls. Um,
Oh,
I'm not sure exactly what happens in there, but
yeah, I don't play like visual novels.
yeah,
That
yeah.
comes back to like me thinking the stories are dumb, and if the story is the highlight of your game, I'm piecing out. Like I don't want to play that.
999 is awesome.
I know everyone gets on my game, and I don't even dislike 999. It wasn't for me.
Mm, yeah, yeah, and I like that you can do multiple paths in some sort of these games, and that apparently Katawa Shoujo does that. There's like multiple playthroughs you can do, or at least multiple storylines. So that would be interesting, but yeah, I haven't played that, and he's been pestering me to do that. Third question: if you could have one Pokemon in real life, which one would it be? For me, it's Squirtle because that's been my favorite Pokemon since I was a child. But I don't know, that might be kind of a boring pet, but also a realistic one because it's just a cute little pet. I'm not gonna have an Onyx to really carry around. Like I don't know. It's okay. Cole.
I don't know. Give me a Charizard. I want to fly.
That's true. Get a flying Pokemon. Craig, any preference on that?
Vaporeon's always been my favorite. I'm not really sure why, but
Mm.
just when I got Red when it came out, I was partial to Vaporeon, so I guess I go with that. It's like
Yeah.
a water dog. Like I don't. That's good enough for me.
And definitely not gonna have the like the trash can Pokemon or whatever it is, the ice cream cone.
I could go for the ice cream cone.
It's just
That might
yeah.
work. I think it evolves into like a hot fudge sundae or something. So maybe I'll go for that one. It's like three
Yeah.
scoops. I'll go for that.
Um, four. If I think I made some mistakes with this question, but I think the gist of it is that if all of the plushes in your collection came to life and attacked you, how doomed are you?
Not doomed because I don't have any.
Good job.
Oh, Zavin.
Mine are all locked in a closet, but they probably make their way out. I got a lot of Pokemon in there, so I'd probably die, realistically. Craig?
I don't know. I might be. I mean, if we're assuming they come to life and they're just not little fabric demons, yeah, I might be in trouble. But I mean, I have like Leighton. I mean, is Leighton gonna attack me? Is that really gonna happen?
He's gonna make you do
He's gonna
puzzles.
force you to
He's gonna,
puzzles.
he's gonna make me like move matchsticks around to like solve a puzzle or something. That reminds me of puzzle. Oh God, Leighton, will you shut up?
He's gonna chuck a crayon at you and like a little tic-tac-toe mat or something.
And let's see, number five. This one's pretty interesting. If you got to sit down and have a conversation with one person who's part of gaming, such as a developer, head of company, Alexei Pajanov, a reviewer, who would it be? You could have a translator and no Miyamoto. Cole.
Well, if I can't talk to Miyamoto, I might as well talk to Yuji Naka. It's
Hmm.
kind of like second Miyamoto. I don't know. Talk to him about Sonic.
That's cool.
Hmm
Craig?
I've already gotten to talk to some really cool people. I remember one time I was at an Irrational Games party, and I was talking to. He actually left Irrational Games just before Bioshock Infinite released. But I was talking to Nate Wells about narratives in games, and it was really great because we were totally on the same page with a lot of things, mainly in terms of video games like telling you a story rather than letting you be a part of a story through like cutscenes and stuff. And that's really frustrating for an interactive medium. So, he gave me this example, like, if you're playing a game and you walk into like an apartment building that, an apartment, not necessarily the building, but an individual apartment, and it's sort of dark and you don't really see or hear anything until you hear a tea kettle start to, whistle and boil over. He's like, what does that tell you? And I'm like, well, that tells me that someone was just there. He's like, exactly. It's not just a bunch of character portraits talking at you. So that was a really cool conversation, and I would like to have more like that. But there are a lot of people I'd like to pick the brains of, but honestly, I think Jason Rower would be one of the most interesting people to talk to. He does a lot of really fascinating indie games. Some of them are just like these little bite-sized things that you can download for free from his website. I mean, you can donate if you'd like, but they're developed for Windows, Mac, Unix, like whatever, and you can just download them for free. And there's just these really interesting little interactive experiences that sort of mimic some real life condition or emotion. And he did very recently, he kickstarted Diamond Trust of London for the DS, and he just does some really cool stuff, and I really just sit down and talk to him.
Yeah, I'm echoing. Does anyone else hear that?
I hear it.
I do not.
know what. Okay.
I think it's coming from Craig's end, but now it's not. All right. But as for me, that's one thing I regret from the one PAX East I went to, and I guess Comic-Con a little bit, is that I didn't talk to much of the developers really. But if I were to go like the main guy I probably want to talk to is Sakurai, who's the creator of Smash Bros. And yeah, I'd probably just try to force all my character ideas down his throat, basically.
It always depresses me when I think that like Sakurai created Kirby when he was 19, and here I am 10 years older than that, and I've done nothing with my life.
Yeah, I think no, there was like this image my brother was looking at, and he put it on Facebook, how it makes him depressed as a 26-year-old, because it talked about like it was a picture of Isaac Newton, and like he had discovered like 3 different laws in science, like all before he turned 26.
Yeah, but here's the thing though, nobody knew shit back then, so they had to discover it all for themselves. So your brother should just, cut himself a little bit of slack. I think most things have been figured out by now.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. We can speed through these next ones. They're pretty quick. Yes. If you could have one of Mario's power-ups in real life, which one would you have? For me, it would be a squirrel suit. That's the easy choice. Fly around.
I would have the fire flower, so that way, no more microwave. Automatic toaster oven.
I would have Kurio's shoe. Because why not? Why just stomp around in a shoe, like whatever.
What special edition do you want for the 3DS?
Another Zelda one, I guess. Oh wait, no, I want to get that one, Charizard one that Japan got. When are we going to get that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Everyone's all about that Charizard one. It's pretty nice though.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Shin Megami Tensei one pre-ordered, so I want that.
I don't know really. I don't think I'd ever even invest in special editions, to be honest with you, but I don't know, maybe an Animal Crossing one with like cute animals on the sides, on the cover. Big Toad KK plastered, or KK slider plastered across it. I'd go for that. You open it up, it plays a little song from KK Slider. That would be cool. Number 8 on the questions. You're at a garage sale and find a stack of rare NES games. Included are Flintstones, Action 52, Tengen, Tetris, and more. You're looking at them and see that the whole stack is $5. You go to buy them, but while talking to the cashier, a man rips them from your hands, gives the cashier the money for them, and just walks away. What do?
I would walk away because it's just $5. And he probably has some type of weapon. So, I don't know.
Yeah, but the point is, it's not just $5 because they're worth more than $5.
It's too random of a question.
I would probably bitch about it on my podcast. Like, I don't really think I have money on me.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, fantastical answers. If there's a physical copy and a digital copy of the exact same game with no differences and it's the same price, isn't it just absurdity to buy the digital?
Well, for some people, it's just convenient. They don't
Yeah.
care about playing it again. I don't know. It's just personal preference.
Especially when it comes to portables, like I'm really starting to appreciate having things installed on my 3DS. Because I got the XL, the Pikachu one, and I got Luigi's Mansion with it. I got a download code for a free Nintendo game, and I chose Star Fox because that, to me, is a great pick up and play game. And even though I already own the retail version of Star Fox 64 3D, it's still great to have it. And I also double dipped on Resident Evil Mercenaries 3D. I own the physical version of that, but it's on the eShop for $20, and that's just a really quick pick up and play action game with a lot of like arcade trappings, and that's nice to have. But as a collector, I absolutely will get the physical version if that's the option. But I can understand why someone would go digital, especially with portables. There's a lot of convenience there.
Yeah, Zavin has been known to be notorious for his hating of digital games and his refusal to buy anything digital, and this has caused a lot of controversy in the past. So yeah, he refuses to buy iOS games, but he bought he got Super Hexagon gifted to him on Steam. But he was like, "Oh, I didn't buy it though. I never would have bought it. I got it gifted to me, but I'm loving the game."
I sort of feel like especially if that's the only way to play a game, like you're only depriving yourself. I mean, it's not like you have an option to go to the store and buy that game.
Yeah.
And really, it's only $2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if like lightning hit your computer and destroyed Valve's Steam server, so there's no record of you ever owning that game, and oh man, I have to buy it all over again. Big deal. $2.
All right, Pestro asks, "Do you feel like gaming needs to be more or less social than what it is now?"
I mean, I think it's already very social. It's just a matter of integrating it so it's, I don't know, just improving what we have already. It's already pretty good, though, I would say. Just take out your iPhone, tweet at somebody. I don't know. Introducing it to the games itself, I guess.
Yeah, like a lot what Nintendo's doing, like Miiverse, like something like that. I think it already is very social, but just sort of working that into the console or to the games is the next step.
As long as it's integrated like more fluently, then like Miiverse, like I particularly liked with New Super Mario Bros. U how they did the map system on that. I think that's kind of a good way to do it. Is how they have the messages splitted around everywhere, and you can turn it on and off if you want. I think that's the best way to integrate it. I think. One thing I think Nintendo needs to really change with the whole Miiverse thing to be successful is they don't even have an option for it to be like Twitter or anything. Like you're stuck with specific communities. It's not hard to just make a system, just to let them talk about whatever they want, like Twitter, because that's kind of...
they may do that in the future. I mean, that's a good point, especially considering like you can follow people like Twitter without being friends with them on Miiverse.
Yeah,
I could see them doing that in the future, so people could update very basic statuses from their profile, and that will go to their friends and followers.
Yeah, because they still have a lot more improvement to do because it was like a big announcement. One of their big announcements was the Legend of Zelda series community. Now you can actually talk about Zelda. It's like, no, that shouldn't be a big announcement. That should have just been a given. But you just have to wait for the tools to be given to you before you can talk about it. So, second question: is there such a thing as too many buttons or too few buttons on a controller? If so, what do you think is the perfect amount?
I mean, I think that
Buttons.
360 controller is pretty much all you need. And too few, I think there's iOS games that definitely work. It doesn't really... It depends on more how the game integrates the controls into itself. It's not really about what controller you have, I think. It's just how it's developed. But no, 360 controller's fine.
Yeah. I think yeah, that's really pretty much the all-around controller. I don't really care about buttons because usually the games know how to adjust it according to it. But Craig, any preference on that?
I think what we already have is pretty good. I mean, it's probably pretty intimidating for people that don't really play games very often. I mean, when you stop and think about it, there's a lot of functionality. You got 4 shoulder buttons, 4 regular face buttons, 2 tertiary buttons, a D-pad, 2 analog sticks that click in. There's a lot of inputs when you stop and think about it. But I think that's even I get confused. Like, I don't know if it's my old age or the fact that I play so many games. Like, I just hate when you're playing like 2 similar games, but they have slightly different controls. Like this particular action that the games share. One's mapped to X and the other one's mapped to B, and you're like, son, why can't you just do the same thing? But I mean, I agree. That's generally pretty good there. I like that the PS4 just kind of combines select and start into option. It's probably unnecessary to have both of those at this point.
Yeah. Joystick, D-pad, touch controls, or arcade stick?
Depends on the game.
Yeah.
Yep. Although I really hate like these iOS games that try to pretend like they are console games with virtual D-pads and these, but like, no, you are on a slab of glass. Can you please keep that in mind?
I used to always play those. I was like so amazed that I'm playing like Assassin's Creed on my phone, but now I just want to play like Rayman Jungle Run or something.
Exactly.
It's the only kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Which classic games do you feel like you should have played but just haven't gotten around to? It can be games that you don't own.
Earthbound.
Yeah.
Haven't played
I'm
it.
kind of slacking with retro in general lately. Like I've been playing like only modern for the past few months. Like I've been playing little, even GameCube I've not been playing much of, which I'm kind of sad about. But yeah, there are a lot of classics that people talk about I haven't even played yet.
I can't think of anything that sticks out. I'm sure there's something. There's always something. No one has played everything ever, but I've covered a lot of bases, so it's really hard for me to think of anything specific.
Which Nintendo franchise would you be the most hyped for if they announced that a new game was currently in development for it?
Oh, wait. This just in. A new Pokemon was just revealed.
Whoa.
It just came out. It's the new Mewtwo or whatever. Just saying.
Really?
Yep.
It was not called Mew 3.
They don't have a name for it, but
Yeah.
all right. Sorry for interrupting. It's gonna be Mew 3.
Which Nintendo franchise, Cole?
A funny story. I don't know. I was just distracted by the whole Mew 3 thing. So what was the?
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough. Which Nintendo franchise would you be most excited for if they announced that a new game was currently in development for it?
Kid Icarus Uprising 2. There we go.
Fair enough.
This is a really doofy looking Mewtwo.
Yeah.
It is. It looks like something from like Dragon Ball Z or
It
something.
is. Yeah.
It does, and it's like half the size of Mewtwo. Like, I'll get you.
Yeah, it's like Kid Buu.
Another failed clone. I don't know.
It's like Kid Buu in comparison to Majin Buu.
Was this the big news? We already knew about this. Let's see.
It shares many traits with Mewtwo, including a light purple body and piercing, powerful eyes.
Ooh. That's what I've been looking
long walks on the beach and destroying laboratories.
Wow, like what is he even doing in this? Oh, that's the 3D battle going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Well, I'm disappointed. I was expecting all these new Pokemon. Is that it?
Sylveon.
All right.
They had Sylveon too.
Okay.
So, that question.
A new Star Tropics would be pretty cool.
Star Tropics, yeah.
That's never going to happen, but it would be pretty cool.
I don't even know. I'm like such a huge fan of Nintendo, but I can't even think of any. Because, like, for the most part, they got all the ones I play going on right now.
Yeah.
Because everyone says Star Fox all the time, so I don't need to say that, really. Even though I just did. So, yeah, Animal Crossing, I wanted one for a while, and now it's coming out. And still, I've been wanting it for a long time. It's freaking been in Japan for months, and we're finally getting it in June. But depressed it's taking this long. And Cole has no preference, so moving on. I think we're gonna skip the YouTube and podcast part of crap we've been doing, but I would like to mention that the other night I was on the Virtual Guild Community Podcast, which is a mini cast of sorts where this time around we talked. We had a roundtable discussion with it was Batsa Brand, Midipoor, myself, and Cole was there, even though he hadn't seen the movie we were talking about, which was Ecstasy of Order: The Tetris Masters.
What? Is that a real thing?
It is. And surprisingly, I really recommend this to both of you and to everyone out there. I'm not a huge fan of Tetris at all. I'm not like hardcore into that, but it was still really a fascinating movie. Like it's all about the competitive Tetris players. Like basically, this one guy went and gathered like the best Tetris players from across the world, and he wanted to decide who was the best. And they held a tournament there, and actually, Pat the NES Punk was in this movie, and
No kidding.
he was like one of the hosts of the tournament. He was commentating as people were playing Tetris. And there was actually a lot of techniques I learned and stuff that was really actually interesting. Show like how much thinking went into it and how like split second decisions they had to make, different strategies they did, different terminology like the Tetris effect and long bar droughts. It's actually really fascinating getting into the mind of a Tetris player. And there's this person named Thor Ackerland who was he was really like he was he was popular in the 90s for Nintendo World Championships where he was like the champion there, and he started a bunch of commercials after that. And then there's all the story about the 30th level on Tetris and how people couldn't reach this, and it was one of the goals is to get to the 30th level, past the death screen as they called it. And he claimed he had done it before and people weren't sure because he never actually recorded it on film, and then he just kind of disappeared, but they found him and brought him back, and it was really interesting. So yeah, I recommend that. But let's say we get into games we've been playing. Craig, you want to start us off there?
Sure. I have been playing. Well, I finished BioShock Infinite, and I was pretty disappointed in the game, to be honest.
Whoa.
Whoa, I know, it's getting rave reviews. I was so hyped for this. For me, like, I love the first BioShock. I think the first BioShock succeeds because it's it has its flaws, right? But it's such an excellent melding of narrative and context and gameplay systems. I mean, you take the name.
Excuse me?
Um,
Crap. We lost him, folks. A tvandlust has been dropped from the call. There's a problem with this call. Hold on while we try to get the call back.
It fell.
Oh,
And they have a very interesting backstory.
you got Craig.
Yes.
You got cut off there.
Oh.
You got dropped for quite a bit there.
Oh. That's
that's a little bit embarrassing.
yeah. It happens. Happens on my podcast, and we're like, well, whatever. We'll worry about it later. All right. Let's try this again. So, well, how far did I get?
BioShock Infinite, and you were disappointed.
Okay.
Go.
All right. So, I hold the first BioShock in very high regard. I think it's a game that has its flaws, but it's such a great game because it really melds its backstory and its narrative and with its gameplay systems and frames everything really well. Like the context for everything is just really well set up. You have the name BioShock, which means biological shock. It refers to the plasmids. The plasmids have this whole backstory about the sea slug and harvesting stem cells from it and all that, and it's a major component in the story. It's the reason why Rapture became so powerful, and plasmids are also the reason why it was destroyed. And then, of course, they're also a major component in the game's battle system. So plasmids are super important. Everything's super important in this game. Big daddies aren't just enemies. Like they are part of Rapture's ecosystem. They matter. They have a backstory. They fit in that world. And then, of course, they also have a part. They have a part in gameplay. They are an enemy of sorts. Nothing in BioShock Infinite has that kind of context. Like nothing at all. You take the analog to plasmids, the Vigors. They're called Vigors. It's the same exact thing, but they're just called Vigors. They have no framing or context. There's no backstory as to why these people in the sky have magic science powers. And nobody uses them. Nobody uses Vigors in Colombia at all. You would think that if you could get magic powers from a bottle, from a vending machine, people would be using those, but they don't. And there's even a civil uprising in Colombia, just like there was in Rapture. And even then, no one uses them. And that's, to me, it takes a bigger leap of faith to imagine a society that doesn't use magic powers from a bottle than it does for me to believe that the magic powers exist in the first place. So that kind of framing just doesn't exist in BioShock Infinite. The big enemies like the motorized Patriot or the Handyman, they just don't have the same kind of framing that the Big Daddy does. You don't feel like that they exist in this world. You see each one of those exactly once before they're enemies. After that, every single instance of a Handyman or a motorized Patriot, after that, it's a bad guy. Whereas that's not the case with Big Daddies. They feel like they fit. They're part of that world. It's not like that in Infinite. And the list goes on. I'll spare you, but basically anything you can think of just doesn't have that kind of context in BioShock Infinite. And so it makes me feel very disconnected from the world. Even though the world has a ton of detail in it, all these things just feel like ideas that weren't properly anchored into the world. And the biggest problem I had was that mechanically the game is basically Halo. It's Halo. You have rechargeable shields. You can only carry 2 weapons at a time, and there's a lot of gunfights. A lot. The game is probably about half as long as the first BioShock, but you probably kill about 80 million more dudes. And that really turned me off. That it became, it's trying to tell like this really interesting story, but it's like, oh, excuse me while I kill a million guys. And that's not all that interesting to me. Even the Vigors, like that's something that could shake it up. Like the Vigors, they're not very helpful. They're not very powerful. Most of the Vigors are basically designed around stunning your enemies. They're not really offensive. The most offensive one is Devil's Kiss, which is a fire-based. it's really just you have to shoot them. You have to aim down sights like you would in Call of Duty and shoot a bunch of guys. That's the game, and that's really frustrating. There's actually a point in the game where you're basically doing that for maybe 2 to 3 hours with very little exploration and very little narrative in the second half of the game. To me, it's not fun. So ultimately, I think it's a pretty good game. Like, I think it's got a lot of positives going on, but there's just so many things that disappointed me that I feel like the first BioShock did everything that Infinite tries to do, but did it better, and it did it better years ago.
Wow. I haven't played any BioShock games.
You should check them out. They're probably pretty cheap now. You should check them out. I think they're terrific. Even BioShock 2 I really like.
Really
Yeah, there's like a dual pack for $29.99 right now. So I want to get that eventually, but
my brother has BioShock 2, but it's still sealed. I'd like to play the first one first. Even BioShock Infinite seems even more appealing to me than those, but I don't know. I could even tell from the outside it looked completely different. Like, even just from the commercials, it seemed like stark contrast.
Well, it's really interesting because Ken Levine from Irrational Games, a lot of people point that out. People point out that like these trailers are very dude bro action heavy, whereas the first BioShock isn't like that. Yes, it's in first person, and yes, you shoot at things, but it wasn't that action heavy. And so people point out like this is really different from the first BioShock. Is this what the game is like? And he's like, no, you don't understand. He said that people who know BioShock and like BioShock, they're gonna buy this game anyway. We already have them because we did such a great job on the first game. We already have it. So we're trying to appeal to people that might enjoy the game as well. They just need a little, they need something that speaks to them. And that's why it has a really crappy cover, and that's why it has all these action commercials. And so everyone was like, "Whew, oh wow, that's a relief." But now, look at it now. If you go to Joystick, you go to Kotaku, you go to a lot of these sites, you start seeing these articles crop of like, why the hell am I playing Call of Duty with magic powers? And that's exactly how I felt. Like everyone's starting to catch on that like that's not the case. Like it really is a shooter. Those commercials are pretty accurate.
Yeah, that's disappointing to me because the world seems so cool. I mean, I'm sure the world's still like fun to walk around in and stuff and explore, but that seems like it's going to bring it down a little bit for me. So I'm not really too into that type of gameplay. More into like the exploration, first-person shooters, I guess, Borderlands, Skyrim, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the exploration is there, like, I would say in the first half. But after that, it just nosedives in favor of gunplay. Every interesting idea, I feel like, that it sets up in the first half of the game. Like, you have this civil uprising called the Vox Populi. And there's all these interesting themes of, like, ultra-nationalism and racism. Like, the Vox Populi rise up because, a lot of them are people of color. And a lot of them are really poor. Like, they're really subjugated. And so they rise up, and you're like, this is a really heavy theme for a game, and then it goes nowhere. I mean, I don't want to spoil too much, but something happens, and then they just basically become enemies. You shoot them, they shoot you. They're indistinguishable from the guys you were just fighting. So it's like it sets it up to be really interesting. Something most games don't even touch, and they're like, oh, just kidding. They're bad guys now. Kill them. So I feel like every good idea kind of sets up in the first half. It screws the pooch in the second half.
So, anything else?
Luigi's Mansion, Dark Moon, which, on the other hand, I'm not finished with, but I have been really enjoying that game. That game is absolutely terrific. It's almost like a point-and-click adventure game that isn't point-and-click. You walk around and you're checking all the different furniture, and you're solving these puzzles. And there's a little more action, of course, because you're actually, tugging on the ghosts and whatever. But it's a little more action-packed adventure game, and I kind of dig that. I kind of like that mashup of genres there, and the characterization of Luigi is awesome in the game. Like, he has so many different like animation routines. It's hilarious. Like, there's this one time like I stood underneath like a water drain that was pouring water down just to see what happened. And I stood underneath it, and I let go of the controls. And then Luigi started to pretend like showering himself under the water. And it's just these random little animations that are peppered throughout the game. Just great characterization of Luigi. It's a really good game.
I've been slacking with my handheld games, and I've got this, but I've played like a half hour of it. So I
Yeah,
need
I
to.
hear Luigi's Mansion is more mission based. Is that true?
Mhm.
Is that like a thing? It's not as much of an adventure game anymore. Like, is it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
it is
It's more like Paper
segmented.
Mario.
You're more segmented in the sense. I mean, it's segmented in that there are 5 mansions now instead of 1, and the mansions that I've been in haven't been very big, and they've been sort of themed, I guess. So I almost feel like it could have been one big house. Like separating them probably wasn't necessary, but it's okay. So you have it segmented in that regard, and then you also have the regard that there's like, yeah, like you said, like missions within each mansion, and then you get, there's like a cutscene that sets it up. Even while you're in the mansion playing the mission, egad will call you and talk your ear off, and then once you finish the mission, you get called back. So it is pretty segmented. Usually stuff like that bothers me. It takes me right out of the game. I hate having things cut up like that, but it actually doesn't bother me here. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's a good thing, but it's not bothering me either.
Yeah, because my biggest complaint with like Paper Mario Sticker Star when that came out, I didn't realize that it was going to be levels. So I was expecting this entire like huge adventure game and having it
Yeah.
chopped up into levels. I wasn't sure if Luigi's Mansion was going to be the same way or. But it,
Yeah, basically it is, but
yeah.
it didn't bother me in Paper Mario Sticker Star, and it
Mhm.
doesn't bother me here. But usually, like all these cutscenes and being taken out of the game, that really bothers me. But like I said, just here it doesn't. Like I said, it's probably because this is almost like an adventure game. This is almost, it's very story heavy, very talkative, but there's also a lot of freedom and action to it as well that balances it. I think I think they struck a nice balance with it.
Hmm.
And that's probably that's about it. That's all that's worth discussing.
Well,
Mhm.
all right, Cole. What have you been playing?
I've been playing a couple things. So the first thing I want to talk about is Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. And I've never played a Monster Hunter game before. And I've just started playing. I'm like 15 hours in, and I'm really liking this game. I didn't realize that there was so much to it. I thought it was just kind of like I don't know. Because I played the demo for Monster Hunter Try, and it was just like, oh yeah, just walk in the woods and beat up a dinosaur or something. But now it's now there's actual context. So I'm getting new armor by looting all these dinosaurs. I'm using that armor to fight new, bigger dinosaurs, and it's a lot of fun. It's really hard to describe because when you just talk about it, it doesn't really sound that much fun. But it's basically like an action game where it's boss battle after boss battle after boss battle. But then the beginning is just about it's basically a huge grind. But it's almost like a single player RuneScape kind of MMO. But I don't know how else to describe it. It's weird. But no, I'm really liking it. And I definitely want to get a Wii U now because I want to play that game online. I like it that much. So that's Monster Hunter. Then the other game I got, let's see, played Super Mario Sunshine. I beat that for the Pete's Game. Oh, I guess it's Red Rascals now, right?
Yeah.
Gentleman's Challenge. So played through that entire game, and overall, I would say I'm happy with it. But I think there's many aspects of the game that haven't aged well, and there's some really weird
Mm.
design choices. Like if you get to a tall height, there's like these wind enemies, and
Yeah.
they'll just like knock you down, and I don't really understand why they're there. It's so pointless. It's more frustrating than anything.
They got little eyes on them, just like.
Yeah, there's a bunch of weird stuff like that. So I kind of wish that wasn't in there, but and in terms of like graphics, the art style is really good, but the problem is the render distance. isn't that great. So I'll be like trying to get all these red coins, and I can
Uh,
barely see them. It'll be
uh,
like 2 pixels. I don't know. It's just kind of hard to play some of those levels, and some of them are just not designed well, where the camera doesn't really work well with them. But overall, like it was a really good Mario game, I would say. I'm not sure if I'm going to get all 120 shines, but for what I've played of it, it was fun. So that's Sunshine. I also beat Sonic Colors for mine and Zach's little game challenge thing. I don't know what we called it, but
you didn't call it anything.
okay. So basically, all I had to do was beat the final boss because that's where I got to last time. And the final boss is really hard. I
Come
died so
on,
many times, but
come on. I aced
it
that
was
boss.
it was still fine. It was still
Well,
fun
wait,
though.
wait. Like the actual boss part or the level before the boss part?
No, I got that beaten like really quickly after you gave me that tip.
Yeah,
But the actual boss I thought was difficult
really,
because
I
I got
aced that.
because like the very like first time I got like very far into it, and I had like one more hit because I had all my wisp, but then I died. I screwed up. So I just got very frustrated and
Come
kept
on. No,
failing
no,
after
no.
that.
I love that boss battle because,
No, I liked it too,
yeah,
but
but I really liked the idea of it, and I thought it was kind of easy to be honest. Like it was, this is a good amount of challenge, and it wasn't frustrating. But like I got through it pretty quickly. And then I died on on like a stupid jump after the boss was over, and there's a little act after it. But I died then, and then it sent me all the way back into the beginning of the boss, and I actually didn't mind it because I enjoyed the boss. So I just went through that in one try and finished it there.
hmm,
See, this is where we differ. Like you find games incredibly easy that I find hard, and then it's the other way around.
yeah, I don't know. Besides Smash Bros, I'm far superior. But I've
Yeah,
also been
okay.
playing Mega Man X Command Mission, and I do not like this game.
Come on now.
It's basically like Final Fantasy 13 for the GameCube without a story that's at least worth listening to or watching, I guess. Because the way I saw like Final Fantasy 13, it's basically I looked at it more as an interactive anime, really. So Mega Man X is basically that, but without the anime. So it's just not fun at all. So I stopped playing that right away.
Okay. Well, uh, well, I remembered it being pretty good. I don't know. I guess my standards were pretty low back then, but
No,
you
they were
know,
pretty low. So
but
I've
you
also
know,
been playing.
but I haven't played it in a while. It probably hasn't aged well, but I think you're a bit too harsh. You're like, oh, I played 2 hours of this game. I'm gonna go sell this. I'm done with this crap. And
No, I really don't like
oh
it.
no, I'm playing Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, so
No,
uh,
I like that game though. Everyone
get out of
hates it.
here.
It's such a good game though.
It is a good
Uh,
game.
Oh, come
yeah.
on.
No, it's basically Rare turned Banjo-Kazooie into like an overblown Diddy Kong Racing. That's the way I see it.
I find
But
the controls to be very sloppy in most
no.
cases. Stupid first. I haven't even played much of this, but I'm actually gonna play it, unlike you, um, with Mega Man X. But I finished the first area, the Nutty Acres, those first 3 levels, which is really quick and easy. But the boss level, the first boss level, is just stupid. Because it was like knock this ball out of a freaking cart, and then I'm like, all right, I got this huge cart I made for this job, and I'm slamming into her and it's not working, and then I just one time I just try it, and it takes all of 4 seconds. I put the cart in front of her, and she's stuck. She can't move, and then I just I just levitate the ball out of her cart and chuck it off of it. And I'm like, oh yeah, you beat it, you did it, nice. No, no.
See, I don't remember having any issues like that. But no, the game's great. It
Great.
I don't get how you like the Super Mario Galaxy games. You don't like that. Well, I guess never mind. They're kind of very different games, but they're platformers nonetheless. I don't know. It feels like good old Rare to me.
Good old Rare.
Good old Rare.
Kidding me?
I think I can sort of understand where Zach's coming from. I don't think it's the controls much as like the physics are a bit different. The physics are consistent within the game world, but they're not necessarily what you expect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you build up all this momentum, and then it doesn't even. You just hit a rock wall, and then. Well, there's this one part. Oh yeah, I was trying to say that the cart customization I really can't be bothered with. I spent all this time working on this thing. I thought I had really decked out, but apparently I made it way too fat, where it moves like 2 miles an hour, and then I can't get anything done with it. So I just went back to the default thing. Aside for I tried it with that one grunty level to knock the ball out because I used like metal spikes or something on the side of it, and it said use a powerful and heavy cart to knock the ball out of her cart, and then I'm like, okay, I'll use that, and it couldn't knock it out for the life of it, and so I just dragged it out manually and made it significantly easier. But I remember there was this one point I was looking at some of the reception of the game, which has been like it's actually had generally positive reviews for the most part. And there's one review though, they said because you think of this game, it's like aimed towards kids for a lot of it as well. But then you look at this cart customization, and I can't see how they would ever understand how to do this stuff. Cart customization is like way too complex, I think.
It is a little bit cumbersome, but at the same time, I mean, just coming from like our perspectives, I mean, you can still get what you want to accomplish. Not saying it's easy. I'm not giving the game slack, but it's not like it's so difficult where it's frustrating, I don't think.
It's just stupid. It ruins the pace of the game. I don't want to take the time to freaking build a car. That's not what I came to play Banjo-Kazooie for, is not to build a car. I can do that and something else. I would much rather they actually give me a good cart than the piece of crap they stick you with in the beginning and like not have to be bothered with it. And I was also saying I'd much rather have it where you can just buy upgraded carts and not have to bother with that. But no, you have to buy blueprints, and then you can get pink crates and give them to Mumbo, and then they'll give you more parts, and then you can improve your cart, and you can save certain vehicles, and then you can go back and use different ones in different levels. I can't
You're
be
so
bothered
angry.
with this.
No, no, you're wrong. No,
Uh,
Banjo-Kazooie is it's good stuff. I don't know. You have to play it more. Make some blueprints. I don't know.
Says the one
Just
who
give it.
plays Mega Man X for 2 hours and gives up.
True. Yeah, but Mega Man X, that's not a game. It's an atrocity.
Wow.
No, I don't like it. No, there's nothing to it. All I'm doing is like running up halls, just running upstairs, having random battles against some Mega Man fiction. I have no idea what it is, some type of robot. And that's the entire game. And then I skipped the cutscenes because it's Mega Man X. I don't really want to watch them.
They're actually kind of cool cutscenes, to be honest with you.
I'm just not into
And
that world. It's really
they're just some stupid decisions.
cheesy.
Okay, they're just some stupid decisions made with Banjo-Kazooie I don't understand. Like, just stupid, simple things should be very simple to do. Like, walk up and like, I want to talk to someone. You hit X, and then Banjo has to position himself in the perfect position to be able to talk to someone, and then the camera has to position itself for you, and it's like, all right, let me get adjusted real quick, and it takes like 5 seconds for him to get in place, and then you talk to him, and they say something pointless, and there's no really interactivity there, and I don't know why, but I'm finding it hard to find where I need to like the levels, how to enter the levels. Like I've entered the first 3, can't find the next one. I'm not sure if it's the 8 one, and they really expect me to find one other extra jiggy. Because I've already found several extra ones out in the hub world. and I've got like 7, and you need 8 to move on to that. I'm not sure if that's the next one in line or not. There's not much organization where that's concerned, but
See, I've never had any of those
all
problems
right, here we
though.
go.
Like,
And then you go to this one part.
all right.
I just want to get some musical notes. Like I'm collecting musical notes around here, and then I go up. You gotta go onto this island, and then you gotta call up your vehicle, drive up to the top because you can't climb the mountain. You need a vehicle to get up the mountain or the hill. And then you get up there, and I'm like, all right, oh, we gotta climb across tightropes. Oh well, Mario Sunshine did it just fine. And then I jump on the tightrope. You have to freaking do a balancing act. I mean, come on. It's not realistic to be on a tightrope period while you're platforming here. So you might as well just let you walk across the tightrope without balancing. But the balancing controls are so terrible, and I fell off, but my OCD wouldn't let me stop, and I was like, all right, let me swim back. I'm like, okay, I'll just run back up the hill and get back up there quick. No, I have to call my vehicle to be able to go up the hill again. So I have to call up the vehicle. It brings me to a different section of the map, not actually where I am. So I have to drive back to that section, drive up the hill, get off, walk across the tightrope just to fall off a few more times and do it over again.
So, game of the year.
So, what else were you
No,
playing,
you're
Cole?
angry. No, what else have I been playing? Well, thank you for that nice chat, Zach. But I've been playing Kirby 64. I have it on the Virtual Console, and it's been a while since I played it, and I really like it. It's very easy, but it's still fun. I like looking for the little cards at the end.
Very
Every time
easy,
you,
very easy, like the Sonic Colors final boss.
oh yeah, no, it's fun. It's Kirby. I like it the best though because I love the customization it gives you. You can have like the lightsaber Kirby and weird things like that. So it's typical Kirby. Then other than that, I got a new phone, so it's an Android based phone and I've always had an iPhone.
Oh,
So I'm trying out some of the apps there and I downloaded the emulators. So I'm playing like Fire Red again and I
oh
tried
man.
playing like Majora's Mask on the N64 emulator and it's terrible. So I definitely want to get Majora's Mask 3D
Oh,
now. They need to come out with that. Nintendo, what are you doing?
oh man.
But no, that's about
Yes.
it.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. What? No, but
I
that's
have an
about it.
idea for this podcast image. I'll take the TV and Lust logo and put it on that stupid character from Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, that computer thing. Plaster it on its face. That's what I'll do.
No, but that's all I've been playing. And Zach, since you already said a lot of what you've been playing,
So what have I
do
been
you have any?
playing? I've been playing Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. Overall, like 10 out of 10. Game of the year, yeah. It's like I'm surprised I missed out on this game. It's probably my favorite 360 game to date. Um, Way better than the original Banjo-Kazooie, better than Diddy Kong Racing. You know, I hope they stay on this track if they make another sequel. It's got to be just like this, you know, it's perfect.
I sense a bit of sarcasm.
But I've actually been playing surprisingly a lot of awesome games, and by a lot I mean 2 awesome games. I played the first one, which isn't awesome, is Mario Power Tennis on the Wii. Now, Mario Power Tennis on the GameCube, awesome. You know, I love that. I love that game. You know, it's a good game. And then I play it on the Wii. And what's the logical thing to do when you switch to new play control on the Wii? You switch to all waggle and not even give the option to use the GameCube controller. Logically, that's what you do. And it ruins the game. Way to go, Nintendo. GG. Big ups.
Is it really that bad? Like, what's
You
wrong
mean-
with it?
Isn't
Is it?
I mean, I don't understand. Are you being sarcastic? Isn't if it's called new play control and it's on the Wii, aren't you? Isn't it supposed to default? To
All right,
most-
come on now. Come on now. Like, they find you can have Wii controls, obviously, but my brother picked it up because it was like a good deal. It was like the Nintendo Chicken Selects thing, and then and then we got they're like, okay, we already have the GameCube controls down, but let's throw it out the window. We don't even need the GameCube controls anymore. Let's not give them an option. We'll only give them Wii controls. That'll definitely reduce the cost, right? And that's what it's gonna do. No, it ruined the game. It was
Mhm.
getting like 8 out of 10s, the GameCube version, 8 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s. Then you go to the freaking Wii version, look at the reception on that. It's got 6s and 7s, and
Yeah,
yes.
but I mean,
No, what have they done?
do you still have the GameCube version?
That's why I have the Wii version, is because he got that, and I've been wanting the GameCube version for a long time. So we're like, might as well get that, right? It can't be worse. It can't be worse than the GameCube version, right? No, it's worse. GG Nintendo.
Well,
Really, it's
I
just like
still think you're being
it
a
just
bit
doesn't. It's
silly.
just this weird thing, just because. Like first time we played, I remember it was just terrible, and we gave up on it. But I tried it again, and it wasn't as bad. But then my brother's swinging the Wii remote. He does the same thing. He's always been doing. Like they're doing their special moves and everything automatically, and then he's just swinging it. And then Koopa Troopa decides to not hit the ball, but duck under the ball, do a little twirl underneath it, for no apparent reason, just from swinging the Wii remote. Like it's not he missed or anything. He just went out of his way to avoid it. Like the freaking ball was gonna kill him or something. And it was ruining the game. But aside from that, I played some awesome games. Mario Party 9, surprisingly awesome game. After Mario Party 8, I didn't expect this because Mario Party 8 is kind of the black sheep of the Mario Parties. Not as good as I would have liked, but it was decent, but lacked a lot of what Mario Party needed. Mario Party 9, I didn't expect much from it, even though it had good reviews, but it was actually really awesome, and it did a lot of new things that I think are actually a good move to go. Like instead of collecting just stars, you actually collect mini stars, which they're sprawled across the map all the time. So a lot of this game is left up to luck, because you'll go to these stupid things. Like I'm a beast at this game lately. I've been beating everyone. I'm just like top of the charts, winning these mini games and whatnot. And then I got like 75 mini stars or something like that. And I'm not even joking with you. I was playing the single player, going along, playing with them, and then there's this one level, the Boo level, where if you pass a ghost, it sets off a ghost, and they move 3 spaces every turn. So if you don't fall into if you don't roll a high enough number, then they can catch up to you. And if they catch up to you, they take half your mini stars away. So I'm going along and I've got like the most mini stars, but then I bump into two of them are sprawled across the map, and we're going in a circle at this point because we're near the end. And then I bump into the back of one, takes half of my mini stars, and the other one catches up for me from behind, takes half my mini stars. I'm in 4th place now, and then we get to the end of the game, and yeah, real fair, real fair. But aside from that, good game. It's been a lot of fun playing it multiplayer with my brother. They actually have surprisingly good mini games, and they have boss battles this time, which were kind of interesting. Although I hated the ones, there were a lot of them that were just left up to luck, which is stupid. It's like pick a random card, and then that'll decide your fate. So good luck. And but overall good, and I like the improvement they made with the bonus stars. At the end of the level, they give you bonus star for like most mini games won, things like that. But a lot of times they'll give you mini stars or stars for stupid things like losing the most, stuff like that. And in this
What?
game, what? What?
How is that a thing?
Yeah, bonus stars. They there's a lot of times there's like you get awarded for landing on the most red spaces in the past. In this one, you get awarded for landing on the most mini zitars, which is stars that take away your total from your total. You get awarded for stupid things like that. Um, but in this one, they actually kind of controlled it where in past Mario Party games, if you had bonus stars on, you could easily win just by luck of getting a bunch of bonus stars. But in this one, it only gives you like 5 mini stars, and there's plenty of mini stars to go around. So only if you're really close, it's gonna matter that much. So it's more controlled. It's just an interesting play style this time around, though. The game I've been enjoying the most, though, is Toy Story 3 on the Xbox 360, and I've been playing. We played a bit of the story mode. My brother and I were doing the co-op, which is surprisingly actually really good in this game. It works well, integrated pretty well, but we were focusing on the toy box mode for the most part. And for such a just a game mode in a Toy Story game, we got hooked, and we were playing this for like hours. We were both free from school, and he was free from work. And I'm on spring break still, so we were playing for hours. And there's some awesome missions in there, like Grand Theft Auto style, and a mix of other things. It's a sandbox style game. You can buy different toys to fill up your town, different buildings, different features you can do. You can just roam around, do these different missions. We've done pretty much everything. We beat the main final thing, but there are just some side missions left to do, like take pictures of certain things with cameras, which is the stupid ones we left. So it's interesting stuff.
Sounds pretty.
But that's all I've been playing.
Nice.
Sorry to disappoint.
No, don't worry. It's you didn't mean it.
I didn't mean it.
No.
So what's next here? What's next, Cole?
Well, we already did the news. New Pokemon. There we go. What's after that, Zach?
We've got the main topic. And this time around, we thought it would be appropriate to discuss the portrayal of women in video games. It's a popular topic nowadays, you know. We've had a bit of discussions in the past about these things, you know. And so we thought it'd be an interesting one. Craig's had a topic like this before on your podcast, right?
Yeah, we've brought it up before. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, what are your general thoughts on it? Obviously, the obvious thing is women are objectified, women are sexualized, sex sells, we know all these things, but I don't know what can be changed. I don't know what can be changed, what have we done wrong, and is it really that bad that it needs to be changed?
There's a lot of. See, Craig, I remember that you brought up Double Dragon, I think, in your last episode of your podcast, I think. Someone was
Yeah.
talking about that. And stuff like that. It's not even just women. It's almost like a combination where we portray both male and females in different lights where females are very feminine, males are masculine, males are muscular, and they have that whole Arnold Schwarzenegger tough guy
Yeah.
feel, and then women are you know princesses. I don't know.
Yeah, but you
Stuff like
understand that it's men that make the muscular men. Like that's part of the same
Yeah.
fantasy. It's
Yeah.
not two sides of the same coin because it's the same people doing that.
Mm.
That's the problem.
True.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's true. I'm just saying, like, from what we experience, it's just that I don't like how men are shown just because I'm not like that at all. I'm in high school. I'm a junior. I work. I do all these things, and I play Pokemon. I do all this stuff, and people would typically be like, "Oh no, you're a faggot. You play Pokemon." But it's like, no, that's not the truth. And I kind of feel like things like that portray me because I'm a man in that sort of vein. And same with the woman. I feel like it's a bigger problem than a lot of people kind of look at it in, but
it's all the same thing though. Like it all
Mhm.
stems from. Actually, I had this discussion with on Twitter, but that all stems from the
Oh,
patriarchal society. Like
Mhm.
there are a lot of people that are they're like, oh, feminists, they don't want equality, they want, but that's not true. Like they want the same things that you do when you bring up stuff like when you do things that are not masculine. That's part of the same problem. It's saying that women have this role, and if you're not doing your manly role, then you're wrong. That all stems from the same patriarchal rule that says this is the way things should be if you're a man, and if you're a
Mhm.
woman, these are the way things and that goes into real life as well, where like court cases often favor children going to the mother. And people, and you hear a lot of men say like, well, why isn't this a problem? Why aren't feminists against this? They are actually. They don't like that either.
Mhm.
They because that's part of the patriarchal society that says women are child rearers. They
Mhm.
would like equality in that as well. And so you raise a very good point. But it's not it's not two different issues. It's actually the same issue that affects you as
No, I
well.
should say that that's a bit wrong on my part. See, when I think feminists, which I probably shouldn't think this, I think of that like, super like men are terrible people, women need
Yeah,
to take charge. That's yeah.
I'm sure those people exist, but that's
Uh-huh.
got to be such a
rarity.
stark
Yeah,
minority.
that's just what I think of, which obviously
Yeah.
isn't right for me, but
Well, it's good that you can admit that. I mean, it's good that you admit that, like, this is what I
Mhm.
think of, but it's not right. I mean, that's a very mature outlook to have, I think. But I think a lot of people need to understand that as well, because I think a lot of people have that mindset,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
it's just
nobody likes to fill a role. They just like to be themselves, I think, and
right.
everything drives us towards acting like a role, and it's just very frustrating to see. And I feel like women, obviously, in some cases, they have it more so because they have to be sexualized. Sometimes, same with men to an extent. Men always strive to be better looking, like through muscles and stuff like that, and women prefer, just the other stereotypical features, and it's just one big issue, really, and it's not just video games either. It's everything, but specifically in video games, I know this has gotten brought up by you a lot, but there's just really no middle ground for women.
Nope.
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, all there really is like what Fate from Mirror's Edge. I know you brought up Perfect Dark Zero, or not, just Perfect Dark One, right?
Yeah.
But
There's like
I
Jade
mean,
from
there.
Resident Evil. I mean, there's a few
Lara
really
Croft version 2.
that's a lot better.
It's getting
Maybe
there.
still not where she's getting there. Alex from Half-Life. I mean, there are these really well done women that are well rounded. They aren't overly sexualized. They're just people that
Mm.
happen to be women.
Mhm.
And but the fact that you could sit here and literally list all of them in 12 seconds is pretty
Yeah.
bad.
Hmm.
True. Yeah, and like games like Mass Effect is sometimes praised because it has, the perfect equality and representation for men and women as the main protagonists. So I think they did like a research thing through the characterization, even though it's not totally accurate, because there are men that choose women as the main protagonists and the other way around. But they had like some sort of research thing, Mass Effect, by seeing like the totals of who picked which gender as the protagonist, did like at least like almost 50%, or at least 50% are female gamers. But however true that is really not known, because it can be corrupted. Yeah.
Hmm.
I think one of the
And
most
even.
important things about this issue is that, and this is something Anita Sarkeesian said in her first episode of that series that she kickstarted, is that it's important to understand that you can enjoy these games and have fun with them, but also still be mature enough to be able to discuss these problems. And I think that's where a lot of people get hung up. They feel like because this discussion is going on that, you can't like these games or you can't play them. And it's like, who's really going to argue that Bayonetta is not a fun game? Bayonetta is awesome, but that doesn't mean that there aren't problems,
Yeah, even going back further, where you brought up the fact that, there's more so males creating these games. It's just kind of like, even stereotypically, there's the whole stereotype where girls don't, I just sounded redundant, but girls don't play games. There's that whole stereotype. Some people won't. And just because of that.
Anymore, which isn't even, that's not even an accurate thing. It's just, we probably need more women in development.
Yeah.
Perhaps. I mean, that doesn't always solve anything. I mean, there was this, this hullabaloo about this Bros Before Hoes trophy in the
yeah,
which I thought was, I thought that trophy was a really dumb idea. People are like, well, Kratos always does this and that, and I'm like, well, and no one's arguing about what he did in the game. I think the problem was it took what Kratos does in the game and then puts it into real life context with that trophy name. That was the problem with that. But they're like, well, a woman named that trophy, and it's like, oh, whoa, oh my God, everyone stop. That's it. We don't have, there's no more arguing about this. A woman named a trophy, Bros Before Hoes. So that's it. It's settled. Pack it in, Anita Sarkeesian, it's over. Like, no, that doesn't change anything.
Yeah, and then I remember, wasn't BioShock Infinite going to have a different cover originally? Then they put the main character holding a gun on it just because they thought it would sell better. There's stuff like that where these companies, because if you look at Tomb Raider, didn't Tomb Raider actually sell pretty well?
It did.
Comparatively, so they don't really have any argument, I don't think. So
what do you mean in terms of what?
That just because a game has a female as a lead character doesn't mean that it won't sell.
I don't know. There must be something, because a lot of publishers shy away from that. I don't know if you're familiar with the upcoming game Remember Me from Capcom, which looks awesome. It's one of the most anticipated games right now. But the developer was shopping that around, and no one wanted to touch it because the lead character is female.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There must be some metrics or something behind the scenes that we're not familiar with. I mean, you got to remember, Laura's a well-established, character. I mean, that might be a bit different. So, I mean, I don't really know. I'm trying to think about how many covers really have a woman front and center that
know.
sell
Cameo.
3 million copies in a month like Tomb Raider did. And think of any off the top of my head.
No, there's I don't know. I can think else is Cameo, but there isn't too much.
One thing that was kind of interesting, just thinking of it now, is that Mass Effect 3, the case, by default, it's got obviously the male Commander Shepard. That's the most well-known version now on the cover, but if you take out the slipcover, on the other side is actually the female version of that.
I wonder why. If EA really wanted to gamble on that, they should have just done FemShep. Just put that, but I mean, they did not, because it probably would not have sold as well.
Yeah.
Even though it's an established franchise, that might have turned some people off. Sadly.
Could have, yeah. But well, there are other things that through the portrayal in video games, they oftentimes, which is, it's understandable, but they just, a lot of the stuff they do with both women and men is they do unrealistic features, obviously the obvious features, but also and women, they obviously they use armor a lot of times that would realistically not be effective at all.
Yeah.
Because it reveals pretty much everything anyway, but it's just for the sex appeal. And then men, on the other hand, they have larger. I think I saw a little study that there's a few inches larger in their chest and muscles and stuff than you could realistically have sometimes,
Probably
judging
true.
off of the height and everything. But then again, that's like empowering males and doing the opposite for females, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the key thing to remember here is that a lot of people don't want to believe this. They sort of bury their heads in the sand. But the real problem when it comes to women with this is I understand that women are pretty. There's nothing necessarily wrong with looking at attractive women in video games, but all this comes with this weight, with this history of subjugating women that still goes until the modern era, and you don't really have the same thing with men. Like there's not a history of subjugating men in nearly the same way that women are. It doesn't exist in a vacuum, is my point. And nobody wants to take your games away from you, but I still think that we should be grown up enough to have these kinds of conversations and perhaps work towards something that's better for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree for the most part. I do still feel like I know you're not saying this, but I just kind of feel like there still is also that push for men, though. It's not to take away whatever you said or what you said, but I do feel like it's still there for men too. And it's more so, I'm sure it's worse for females, but it's just because I am a male, so it just
I
feel like
see
it impacts me more.
Here's the difference, though.
Yeah.
When people talk about rape culture,
Mm-hmm.
you're really not a part of that. Like, you see what I'm
That
saying?
is true.
Men can't be raped, but
Well,
that's
technically you can Penn State,
no,
but
that's exactly. They can't be. I mean, it is a problem. Like rape is a rape. Rape is rape. It's a problem no matter the gender or the aggressor or whatever. I'm not going to take that away from people, males that have experienced that. But obviously, the vast majority of rape cases are by men against women.
mm-hmm.
And so, when all of society and culture sexualizes your gender, and meanwhile dudes are raping the shit out of your gender, it's obviously more of a problem for women than it is for men. I understand what you're saying. You do have a point. It's just that the weight, the gravity, unfortunately, means that we really probably should tackle the woman spectrum, because there's real consequences for doing this when it comes to women. So we should probably tackle that first, or at least put more of our attention towards it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get it. I
I
definitely
was
get
just
it.
looking before this, and it's this whole thing with rape is prevalent even in the 80s in video game culture. Because take, for example, one of the biggest notorious ones is Custer's Revenge, in that the whole goal of that game is to rape a Native American woman who's tied up to a pole.
Yeah. To be fair, though, games like that really aren't mainstream. Thank God.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's an outlet. It's kind of disgusting. Well, no, it's not kind of. It's really disgusting that someone sat down and made that game and spent days or even months on it, and then put it out there. That's really bad. But thankfully, that is not mainstream.
Mm-hmm. But things like, even one last thing is that I haven't played them myself, but I know in God of War there's a lot of sexualization going on in there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. There's sex mini games and God of War. So there is that,
So anything else to add on this?
I feel like we covered it pretty well.
Yeah, we covered some good points. Like I said, I really can't drive this home enough for people that are really skeptical or even adamant against this discussion. Just chill out, rethink it. It's definitely worth talking about and thinking about, and perhaps even coming outside of your comfort zone. No one's out to take away your games. We're just out to have a grown up conversation about things that might be problematic.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, we have one more segment left, but I think before that we got a question 20 minutes ago on Facebook from Alex, otherwise known as Chronolink9. It's a real quick question. It said, what length of game do you generally prefer? short, around 10 hours. Zelda around 20 to 35. JRPG around 40 to 80. Or Western RPG or MMO length 100 to 300 slash seemingly endless. For me, around 10, because there's enough games to go around that I don't need to spend that much time on one game. If they leave it open, I think is the best option, because then if you really like the game, you can stick around with it longer. But if you just want to get it done with, then you can get it done with relatively quickly.
Mhm.
What about you guys?
I'm
Really,
gonna
it depends. Oh,
no,
sorry. You can go.
no, you go, you go.
No, for me, it depends on the game. If it's a really good game that I'm just enjoying, I would like 20 hours, I guess. But if it's a game it's all right, like Sonic Colors, I would prefer that to be like 5 or 6. It just depends on the quality, but I don't have a specific answer.
Hmm.
I don't have too many. I really don't have much of a specific answer either. I mean, on the outside, I guess I prefer games to be like not much longer than 20 hours. I mean, I put more than that into some games. It really depends. Like I played Diablo 3 and like Kingdoms of Amalur last year, more than that. Um, but on the outside, like 20, ideally maybe around 10, but even 5 to 6 hour games are great. You know, I hear people complain about short games, but man, I wish games were shorter. Like some of them just I feel like they're wasting my time. Just so many pointless cutscenes, or like the game has the developers put in what they thought was a really good idea and to inject variety or spectacle or whatever, but then it runs itself into the ground because it goes on way too long, or things become redundant. You end up doing the same thing over and over again. A lot of these games just feel padded. They feel just like
Yeah.
like when you buy an extra freezer to keep in your basement, and you're like, oh, I'll just keep some extra meat in here, and you end up filling the freezer with too much crap because you just happen to have the extra freezer. I feel like that's what a lot of games are. They're just filled with crap because the space happens to be there. And I rather games just be a little more concise.
Hmm. To be honest, Sonic Colors I think was the perfect length for me because it was really short, um, 6 hours I think it was, something like that. And at the same time, it's like a platformer with things you can collect, so you can go back if you really want to and collect additional things, and that'll add on to the time. I think things like that are good where it's not forced, but you can always go back and there's more to do if need be.
I think like 5 to 10 hours is such a really good length. Like
Yeah.
that to me feels like a game that's not wasting its space. If you're 5 to 10 hours long, you really have to strut your stuff with your ideas. Like you really have to take your ideas and polish them really well. And I stand more of a chance to finish a game that's 5 to 10 hours long. If it's much longer than that, I'm just gonna move on to something else.
Yeah. Well, there's your answer, Chronolink. There you go. And Craig, do you have a Games of More thing you would like to recommend for us?
So is this just a game that I really enjoy and I want to
Yeah.
sing praises? Is that
Any game that it's special to you some way, stands out.
special to me? Special to me. Wow. Okay, I misunderstood. You know what? Come back to me. Let me think about that.
Okay, Cole. Do you have anything for us?
Yes, I do. No, it would be Okami for the Wii because I don't know why. I'm a huge fan of Zelda, and finding that game as a kid, I was really into it. And I don't know, it's one of those games where I'm just very nostalgic for it now, which is weird to think because we just got out of the Wii and I don't know, time's moving fast.
Hmm.
But no, it's one of the only Wii games I feel like I'm really nostalgic about. And I don't know, it's just a great game. The music, the art style, it all really clashes together well. And even getting a sequel was awesome, but I don't know. I guess that's it. I don't know.
I'm done.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what
All
to
right.
say.
For mine,
Okami.
I will say the Pirates of Dark Water on the Super Nintendo. The reason being, my brother and I, along with my sister, we used to do co-op on this all the time when I was a very, very young person, and it was a lot of fun. I'm not sure if it really stands out now, but it was amazing then. It was one of the only games of its kind. It was a beat 'em up, side-scrolling beat 'em up, and there's several levels, but it was short, so we were able to beat it multiple times, and we just got a kick out of the the fat guys running across, fat sumo wrestlers style thing, different characters. And the game was really weird. I feel like it's kind of racist looking back at it now, because the darker the skin tone, the stronger the the fat sumo wrestlers were. And yeah, it increased from completely pale white fat guy to incredibly dark where you can't see their face
That's
black
really
sumo
weird.
wrestler. Yes. Um, but yeah, it was a fun game though, because you could do. There were 3 different characters you could choose from, but you could do 2 at a time. So a lot of times I play with my sister, play with my brother, and we fight for the one character that everyone loved. And then the leftovers you're stuck with if you had to choose second. Those fun times. So, Craig, what about you?
One of my favorite modern franchises, and by modern I mean, came out within the last, let's say, 10 years or so, is Yakuza. And this time of year always reminds me of the Yakuza games because they normally in the US come out around this time. And I think I'm pretty sure this is the first year in a little while where we haven't gotten one. I think Yakuza, was it 5, came out late last year in Japan, but I'm not even sure if Sega is going to localize that, and so we're not getting any this year. So it might be a good year to go back and play an early one, or if you've never played them, check out Yakuza 1. You can probably get it for pretty cheap on eBay or something, and give that a look. See, those are great games. Uh, some nice RPG elements, some nice beat 'em up elements, slightly open world. I mean, they basically, all of them have like this one map in it, and it never really changes. So you really this area becomes like home. Becomes like a character that you're really familiar with. So then you go to play the next game and you're already familiar. Later games introduce other areas as well, but you have like this home map, and it's you know where all the shops are and everything, and it's just really cool to come back to that. Very few games do that. You play Zelda and Hyrule changes every time or whatever. So it's pretty fun to always come back to that same map and feel like home. So yeah, because the games are great. Awesome music too. Those are great games.
Cool. Um, so is that a wrap? Is that a snack wrap?
I think so.
What is it with you, McDonald's food?
Oh, I know. It's ridiculous.
This is the first episode, but that's all I could think of whenever I hear Nintendo Selects is chicken selects. I don't know why. But so Craig, where can people find you? Because we're the well-known ones here, and no one even knows who you are.
I know. I'm underground.
Trying to help you out.
I appreciate you guys are cupcakes. Uh, I'm on YouTube, TV and Lust. It's television and lust. And I'm on Facebook. That's really more of a sounding post for like the podcast and stuff. And that's just facebook.com/TV and Lust. tvandlust.net is your sort of portal for the podcast. You also find it in iTunes and Stitcher. There's an RSS feed on the site, and you can download or stream it from there as well. And I am very vocal on Twitter. I'm on Twitter almost every day, pretty much every day, and I don't shut up. So if you want to follow me and read my crap, I'm at TV and Lust.
Cool. iTunes. We've got a solution. Maybe we'll be able to plug that from now on, Cole.
Leave off the last S for savings, Cole. That's
No, I have been trying to figure this out for a while. Thank you. But
hey, from.
yeah, for
Cole?
me, Twitter. Twitter at Cole Annoying Nav, and YouTube Annoying Navi, Pete's Gamer Forum Annoying Navi, and basically just Annoying Navi everywhere. So that's it for me.
I commend you on your 3DS video, Cole.
Thank you.
It was good stuff. And everyone seemed to like that, you know. Pastro was getting in on those comments. I saw
Oh yeah.
that. Considering I don't make videos. I haven't been making videos, even though there's not much to update on that gentleman's challenge. So that's one thing. But I really should be making videos soon. But I'm running out of time. So, but you can find me on Twitter at ZRPG. YouTube ZRPG Revamped, Backlog Ray Pokemon ZRPG, Pete's Gaming Forum Pokemon ZRPG, Rad Rascals Forum ZRPG, Miiverse ZRPG HD. You can follow me on. I haven't been posting because I haven't been playing any games on that system, but you know, that's there. Looks like that's all. Twitter at HeyListenPod for all your Hey Listen needs, and Facebook.com/HeyListenPod. That's where we will be posting a lot of stuff as well, and you will see images such as an updated Hey Listen Hall of Fame, probably way before this is, like, we're gonna do it after we're done recording. Probably I'll do that, and that's where you put the guests in the Hall of Fame. So Craig, you'll be on there.
Yes.
And if you don't mind, I will give you a set of questions, and I will make a Hey Listen bio for you.
Sounds good.
And I'll do that. I'll release that day before this podcast aired, so people know this already. But is that it?
Yep.
iTunes, maybe?
iTunes, hopefully. And Craig, I wanted to say one last thing. I know this is going to be weird, but I started watching your videos when I just started middle school, and now I'm about to graduate and I'm going to go to college.
Oh my god, that's so good.
Just to put that into context.
Well, good luck with college.
Yeah. I don't know.
Good luck with that crap. So,
right.
This is that awkward part of the podcast.
Bye, guys. I don't know.
Hugs and kisses.
Excellent.
Okay.
Bye.
Guess that's it.